Turn your mics on, okay? Jay Schatz? Fiora?
Here.
Barbara Preminger? Me, George? Here. Carol? Here. Mark?
Here.
Carol,
Carol York.
and Ruth Ann.
Carol York's been excused.
Ruth Ann is here, and Shane.
Yes.
Yes, here.
Okay.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's take a moment to review the minutes of the last meeting. Yes. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
I didn't know if you wanted everybody to.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. We'll come out when.
Oh, turn on your mics, please.
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the October 11th meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by George. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? All right, passed. Okay. We have a gentleman here from Washington Street to talk about tree on his property. You want to come forward? Would you pull up one of these chairs here? I'll get you a microphone. There's an extra one here.
Where do you want me? Right up at the table.
Right there.
Not a good seat, is it?
Well, pass it.
And you're Mr.
DiFilippo, right,
Yes. And your address is
1230 Washington Street,
1230,
38,
1238 Washington
I
Street.
didn't get your name, I'm sorry.
DiFilippo,
Di Filippo.
right.
Thank you.
This concerns a white
Fine,
pine tree that's in the right side of his property, between his property and the house immediately to the west. Several years ago, we gave you approval to take down a tree that was at the edge of your driveway on your property. I guess we did it because I don't remember whether it was dropping
Yeah.
sticky cones and stuff or
Washington
sight line.
Street.
I think it had a lot to do
It's on the border.
for the
It's actually
approval,
on the other
the
side.
sight line
More than that.
of backing out of your driveway or coming out of your driveway.
actually, it wasn't, it was pretty much the same reason for this tree. It was putting out debris all year, constantly. Pine cones, needles, I'm not talking about just once or twice a year, I'm talking all year. The tree was like half dead. The one we're referring to now what, 15, 20 feet, the branches have already been taken off because it's dead. You want me to make my case, or how, am I supposed to go on here, or?
Well, I looked at that tree, and Ruth Ann looked at that tree also. This is why I came in. She asked me to go take another look at it.
Right.
And I don't see anything really wrong with that tree. You've taken so many of the branches that might have fallen or potentially be fallen off of that tree, but it seems like pretty healthy tree
Oh,
to me.
if there wasn't anything wrong with it, I wouldn't be here. I have a property that has 11 trees on it, so it's not like I'm opposed to tree. I'm just trying to take it down willy-nilly. The reason is because it's a hazard in a number of ways. I have to constantly get up. I have 3 floors and the second floor gutter. I have to, on that side where the tree is, I have to constantly get up and take those needles out of the, gutter.
Right.
It's ongoing. It's not like once a year or twice a year. It's all the time. It's a mess. The yard is constantly filled with needles and pine cones and branches. Now, I don't know what side you were looking from, but that tree, every time a little breeze comes along, will knock branches down and so forth. My porch, which is facing Washington Street, is constantly covered with needles. I have upstairs, I have 5 windows, and downstairs I have 4. The needles go right through the screen, whether it's fall, spring, winter, summer. I mean, it's a hazard, the tree. The tree also puts out pine cones all year, believe it or not, which is a hazard for visitors when they're coming up and down Washington Street with their bikes, which I suppose they're not supposed to be riding on the sidewalk, but they do. That's dangerous to have those pine cones. I can't clean that all the time. I'm 72 years old. I'm not capable of taking care of the mess that's constantly being put out with the trees. As I said, I have 11 trees on my property, which is probably more than I would suspect most people in the town.
Yes, that's the largest in the area, though.
Well, again, it's a matter of safety for me, and it's a matter of just constantly working. I don't want to work all the time. I worked all my life. I want to take it easy. I don't want to clean up a mess every couple of
Well, one answer to that is gutter guard. I get 3 to 5 of those a week in the mail.
Well, I could also pay somebody to go up there, but that's not the point, is it? I mean, if we're not
Well,
endorsing commercial products, we're here talking about the work I'm doing.
We normally can't use falling pine cones, needles, and leaves as an excuse to
Well,
take a
that's the
tree down.
reason, last time, whoever approved it, I don't know if.
Well, we did. I remember
And
doing the
exactly
approval on
the
that
same
tree, and I
reason.
thought it was mainly, it was damage to the cars and sightline backing out or driving out of the driveway.
The reason ultimately it came down to the fact that it was a mess, just like this one is, this tree is. It's constant, that tree constantly put out needles, pine cones all over the place. That's what this does. I have a garden, just so many different things with this tree. I have a garden out front. I used to put mulch down, a small garden, not maybe from that floor to here. There's no reason for me to put mulch down. I put it down, and 2 days later, it's filled with needles.
How would the needles hurt the mulch?
The needles don't hurt the mulch. They take away the purpose of having it. Why have mulch if it's going to be covered with needles the next day? So I spend the time and the money, But mostly it's the work involved. It's a constant, and my neighbor will tell you. In fact,
Yeah, he could use one of those gutter guard things too on his. You're a 3-story house. His is only a 1-story house, though, right?
But you don't understand. In the summer, for example, you sit out on your porch. You got to go out there every day and sweep the porch because there's needles. Who does that? Nobody does that stuff. That's not normal to have a tree constantly putting debris out. This is what they call fall. Fall stuff comes down. This is in the fall all year for me, and that's not fair. Especially for a senior citizen, it's just simply not fair. Why should I have to go up on the roof?
Has this always been the case?
Oh yeah.
The whole life of the tree?
Well, I don't know if the whole life. The trees. I don't know how the tree's pretty old, but it's been that
Yes.
way for.
It's a 40 or 50-year-old.
Whatever, I don't know if it's the whole life, but as I said, half of the tree, the branches have already been taken down because it's dead, and the rest of it,
That's what I noticed, that the
needles
tree
all the
doesn't look
time.
Right to begin with.
that tree is not on the, first of all, it's not on the approved list of trees, and it probably shouldn't be because it's a mess. It should be on the perimeter of a property, not close to a house. It's just not a tree that you should put near a house, and And again, I have a lot of trees. I like trees, just that one's a mess, and it's creating a lot of work for
Can
me.
we ask them questions? Because
Sure.
I looked at the picture, so it was hard for me to tell like where all these other trees and everything are, but where is the exact location of this tree? I mean, is it like in the center of,
Well, let's
It's-
say, here's my house, and it's to the right and back a bit. So here's my house, it's right about here, let's say.
yeah, because I looked at the picture, and the first thing I noticed immediately was the fact that half the tree is not even there.
That's
In other
true.
words, it's all this stuff on the top.
Right,
And
and that
it doesn't look very attractive to me.
It's absolutely ugly. That's another thing. It has no, value to look at. I mean, you come down the street and what you see are a tree with, most people can't even see anything. It's just a big dead trunk. I mean, it's ridiculous. Again, if you maybe were out in the woods or something, you'd want to keep it, but I don't see where you'd want to keep it between two properties. I mean, as you point out, he only has one floor, but his gutters are constantly filled all the time. And mine, you were there the other day, he just had cleaned it, so you didn't see it. I mean, it's all your job. It's not fair to have somebody work all year for a tree. As I said, I'll plant a tree right away. I have no opposition to planting another tree. In fact, as I put it down on the application, I would plant a tree. It's not a matter of me not liking trees, it's a matter of me not liking the work.
Yeah.
Which
I
is
think
fair.
that perhaps maybe we should
Pardon?
thank him for coming and presenting his case, and that we could get back to him after our discussion.
Well, can we talk about it some more, or you want to?
Does anybody else have any other questions?
Rather than that, go in a closed session to talk about it.
No, I just meant,
Yes.
Right.
I think we need more input on this. This tree is between the two properties. The tree is to the west of his house. His house faces north on Washington Street, okay? And this tree is in between the two properties.
it's actually
Up near,
closer to the
it's up near the front. And it overhangs both houses, kind of. And I can see where, when the pine cones or when the needles would fall, it would fall equally on both houses.
Actually, the trunk is more off of his property.
It's,
sorry, what was
The
that?
trunk of it is more on the other property.
yeah.
But he has also expressed that.
I understand that the neighbor to the west is agreeable to take the tree.
Yeah, I spoke with him.
You talked to him. I didn't see him, I only talked to Mr. DeFilippo. You've seen that, right?
Yes.
You guys see it?
Yeah, we saw it.
As I mentioned briefly in passing, one of the things I've always been concerned with is when people come down, vacations and things, that the sidewalk is commonly filled with pine cones at night, people walking up and down, riding bikes. I mean, that's another problem. I mean, you step on a pine cone, they're not small.
I have another question, since we're talking about this particular tree.
Right.
You say you have many other trees on your property.
Not this size.
No, but my question is, do they do anything? In other words, is it just this tree contributing
fine. I have
to all the
no problem with it.
pine cones and so forth, or do other trees?
No, I have no problem with, I don't mind raking leaves and so
So
forth.
about how many trees then do you have on your property?
Not including that one, 11. I have 11
See?
trees.
Sounds like enough
I mean,
trees.
so, I rake all the, during the fall, I have no problem with that. But I don't want to rake all year and climb ladders. I mean, pick pine cones up and pick needle lap through my screen and sweep my porch, every time I go out in the summer. I mean, when you get to be older, you want to go out and rock on your rocking chair. You don't want to sweep pine cones. The time I sweep the pine cones, I'm ready for the nap. I mean, actually, the needles more so on the porch.
I would like to just, no one saying anything about anything today. So I'm either going to take with Rosanna, that she made a suggestion that we should maybe take this under advisement.
Yeah,
and discuss that,
I
and
think,
if we get a-
well, I think we're on a slippery slope. We start letting trees be going down because of pine cones and needles. There's no end to it after that. I mean, anybody comes in and says, I don't want to rake leaves anymore.
But
Pine-
that's not fair assessment, because I'm not complaining about raking. I'm complaining about raking all year. That's a very different issue. I mean, on the one hand, you're saying because needles are there. I mean, as I said, I have 11 trees. I have to pick up the debris from those trees, but that's once a year, whatever, twice or whatever. This is all year. That's a different issue, completely different, actually. It's like comparing whatever you want to say. What's it, oranges and whatever the comparison is? Never made much sense to me, but whatever.
I think that the board would like to take, each of them take a look at this tree, and we'll be back to you on it, on a decision to remove the tree. And we heard your case, and we heard your reasons and whatnot, but we'll,
Okay.
okay, thank you.
I have one question. You said that you put on the request that you would replace it. with-
Yes, Ruth Ann has.
What is, oh, you have the paper?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What, did you
Didn't say,
specify what
no.
species of tree?
no.
No, I didn't.
Probably something deciduous, the leaves would fall off
I mean,
once a year rather than all
A
year.
non-late work tree, you know.
It's a very shaded area.
Okay.
What'd she say?
It's very shaded, the area where
Because
the
it's
tree-
between two houses.
So that's another thing, yeah, because that's what we are, the Shade Tree Commission. So that's what I was just gonna say, if this doesn't even provide, if he has other shade, and this is in the middle of the property,
Well, we have many trees out in the front. In front of my property, have 2 city trees, then,
In the back, you've got several other trees
Right,
along your
and
perimeter.
so-
They're smaller,
Right.
trees. but-
right, they're not giant like that, no. But, you know,
Okay,
a
well,
white
let's-
pine doesn't belong near a house. It's not.
Well, that's, near the house is a matter of definition. There's trees of that size or bigger, a lot closer to the houses than that one. So there's no issue of foundation damage or root damage or anything else on this
It's
particular.
just a
It's
matter
well
of me
away from
working
the.
all year cleaning the mess up, and my neighbor as well, but in my case, I'm considerably older than him, and I have to go up on a ladder commonly, you know,
Well, one possible solution
I
is
know
to
about
call,
that, but
is to
that's-
call one of these people who constantly send you, if they send them to me, I know they must be
okay,
sending to
but
you.
what am I supposed to do when they fly through my screens? I mean,
When they want to do
don't
what?
have a screen guard. I mean, that's another problem.
What?
The needles are constant, I'm pointing out, they
Oh.
constantly fly through the screen. I mean, they're.
That's the first,
right
yes,
through.
that's
Huh?
the first I've heard of the needles coming through.
Well, you
screen.
are aware of a pine needle? They're very thin and they can easily go through, and they do. I mean, now you're hearing it. I'm not here to lie to you. I'm telling you, the needles are constant. They're on the porch, and they're also, which there's no gutter guard for my porch roof, which is just 1 story high, but they're always up there, the needles in pine cone. Well, mostly the needles up there.
Right. Pine cones you just roll off.
Yeah, it's mostly the needles.
Because there's no gutter on that first floor.
Right.
No.
Well, on the side, other side there is, but.
Well,
right
I want
there-
everybody, I think it's probably best to go through this thing and look at this tree and come up with an opinion in December. Okay, can we do that? And we'll hold off on a decision on yes or no. And if we do say yes on this, it would be a $75 fee
Oh, I'll be
because
happy to
that's a
pay
healthy tree. It's not like it's dying.
I would like, as part of the record, before we make that decision, to come up with a numerical value of the tree, because it is a significant tree. And this is a Shade Tree Commission. Our purpose is to preserve trees. And as a significant tree, I think it should be put out there, the numerical value of it.
I can do your value right now.
I'm not clear, I'm sorry, what do you mean by the numerical value?
Well, say that if you were to
It's
cut
a
this
12-inch
tree
tree.
without our permission, there is a fine, and there's a numerical value that goes along with it.
Oh, I'm not cutting out.
I'm just saying that, it's not about necessarily what type of tree it is that we're trying to preserve in Cape May. The larger trees are more significant to our mission.
3,052.08, based on $27 a basal inch for a 12-inch diameter tree.
So how much would it cost me to put the gutter guard up? I mean,
Probably a
No,
lot
yeah,
less
I'm
than
not putting the gutter guard.
$3,052.
I'm not doing that, I was just kidding.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, you just call 3 of these guys and you'll probably get all kinds of quotes.
I don't want the gutter. I want you to recognize the fact that I have to do all this work, whether the gutter guard's up there or not. I'd still have to clean the porch roof off the porch and go around the yard commonly picking up needles. And then I'd have to put out the cost, which I suspect is not cheap, for gutter guard, because the gutter goes from the front of the house all the way to the back, so I suspect that would probably come close to numerical value of the tree. I mean, those guys aren't gonna come out there and put a big gutter up, cheap, I should suspect.
Right. Okay, we're going to take another look at the tree, have all our members take a look at it, and we'll get back to you on or before the second Tuesday of next month,
Okay,
all right?
so I'm done then?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right.
All right. You got the address, 1238 Washington Street. As you face the house from Washington Street, it's on the south side of the street, Washington Street. As you face the house, it's a big pine tree right to your right. Yes,
You know what type of pine tree it is?
White,
I think it's a white pine.
Needles in a fascicle, white pine?
It's a long needles, I think.
I listened to that and I thought, I've never seen a pine tree that drops needles all year,
Neither, or pine cones all year.
or pine cones. Now, pine cones can come off, because sometimes they sit there.
Right,
You know, they develop, they're green, then with maturity, they open up and seeds
Right.
come out. Usually further on than this way fall. But I've never seen a pine tree that, unless it's, diseased.
no,
Matter of fact, those diseased pine trees behind Cape Rock,
yes, but
all
they,
the needles are brown.
yes, I would say,
And
that was.
they're all hanging on there.
That was pretty, yeah, that was pretty evident, those on Cape Rock condominiums, because they all turned brown, but the needles were still on the tree. They were falling all over the place. So let's all take a look at that tree, will you? Did you get the address?
I did, 1238 Washington
Yeah.
Street.
And it
Yeah,
is-
again, I'm a little leery about taking trees down because the needles fall and the pine cones fall. And this tree's not a hazard, underline that, not a hazard to the houses. It's not gonna fall down. If that tree is a candidate for falling down, with a windstorm, the houses will probably be gone before the tree falls down.
And the tree is mostly, I said to the neighbor on
What?
the tree is mostly on the other
Neighbor's property, yeah.
Is all the ground underneath there covered with needles and no grass?
There's grass there. Yeah, it's not, there's needles, a layer of needles down, but there's grass grown. So it's not like it's 100% covered and the needles are killing the grass underneath it.
Well, you know, sometimes they put things down when they try to see if you've got a raccoon or a possum in your chimney.
Right.
You know, they have to walk through some white powder.
Oh.
And leave footprints. If anybody's gonna go and take a look at this tree, I suggest clearing an area under that tree,
Oh, and just see what it looks like in a couple of days?
or a week, because I suspect he isn't cleaning this stuff all the time under that tree, period.
All right,
I think we're all feeling the same way.
let's take a look at it and get either back to me before, or we'll talk about it at the next meeting, agenda item, okay? Next on the agenda
Everybody.
is, all right, next on the agenda is I want to wish Mark farewell and goodbye, and, you know, what took you so long, and all that stuff. Mark has submitted his resignation after 5 years. We're going to miss you on the board. If you decide to change your mind because you have nothing to do and you're getting bored, come on back.
Uh-huh. Oh, I have plenty to do.
But thank you. See, you know, just bear through this whole meeting, and then we'll wish you a happy
Okay.
retirement, second retirement, or third in your case.
Yeah, third, yeah.
Yeah. All right. And I have all the credentials and whatnot here. I got his social security number, his, all that stuff, so we can go empty his accounts out real
I do
quick.
want to say, you know that thing that you gave me to, the magnetic sign?
Yes,
I had it on my car door on the driver's side.
you went more than 30 miles an hour.
It was, you know, curling on the edges
Right.
and everything. When I took it off, some of that stuff was disintegrating and staying on the car.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had to take the old car wax to get it off.
Okay.
So after that, I tossed it.
I see.
Well, you may have had that for how many years?
That one I have is an antique. It's
Yeah.
probably, yes, and it's curling up, but it's staying on the car. I use super glue, that takes care of that. The door will come off of that car before that sign will come off. All right.
Super glue.
All right. We want to talk about the Decatur Street, George, removal of those
Yeah.
two
Cedar trees.
cedar trees. The cedar trees are now on the last block on the north side of Cape May Avenue. They've, Annie put them in there.
Right.
Put them a little closer together than I would have liked, but I think they'll probably survive.
Hopefully.
And she got them staked up really good.
I was gonna ask in regard to that, did she bill the city at all for that plan?
I don't know whether she did or not. I think maybe she didn't. I think she probably was aware that she wasn't supposed to remove those street trees. But they've got two,
Maple, I don't know how
Maple
maple are gonna
trees in it.
survive. She claims they're a certain species.
well,
that
I
can
suggest we
survive.
not make a big thing of it. They'll find out in due time whether those maple trees are going to survive within a short block of the beach.
Right, but what I'm saying is if they don't survive, then what do we do? Plant other trees?
Well, they're in city property, so
I know.
see, they're city trees.
Yeah.
So, I suggest we hope for the best on that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Marion Inn. It's called the Cricket Club.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The
They took down the
Mark's
trees.
son, I think, who's must be in charge of that, Kyle, took down two cedar trees that were in front of the property that,
Yeah, I looked at it,
yes,
and I thought they were fine. I said, there didn't seem to be anything wrong with them.
no, and,
I think I
and
read a
George
report.
has been periodically going by and clipping those
Pruning them
trees,
each year, yeah.
supposedly. They claimed that the trees were neglected, there weren't anything being done to them. So it's a question of who shot John,
Yeah.
so anyhow, they've
That's
got
the-
two.
Those are the third trees we had planted there. We had Quons and cherry first, they didn't survive. Then we put crepe myrtle in and they didn't survive. Then we put these in.
And
They
they
were
seem to
fine.
be going-
They were there about 5 years.
About 4 or 5 years, they seem to be going
Yeah.
okay. But now they got hopefully a new, if the roots weren't damaged too much, we'll find out that we got them on Cape May Avenue, so. And we'll keep watching these trees in front of the Cricket Club and see how they're doing. All right, that's all I have. Does anybody, now, we want to talk about the changes to the shade tree ordinance.
Oh, sure.
Oh, you want to,
And there's a couple things I want to bring up. That's fine.
we can talk about the parking lot first, if you want.
Okay, either or. As we know, the parking lot over here by the Welcome Center, the train tracks has been repaved and the trees were taken out between Oyster Bay and the parking lot. I just want to ensure that we put trees back. The folks from Oyster Bay, I understand, want trees in that area and they want some bushes. So I like us as a commission to kind of, take some,
They want a screen?
a little bit of a screen. They were talking about putting a fence there, but, I want to get with our engineer and make sure that it's something that we would approve,
I would-
beautifying this area.
I haven't measured it, but I would suggest, Leland, you don't like Leland cypress.
No, because they,
But I would prefer either Leland cypress or arborvitae in 3-foot square holes cut. In that, 1.5 onto the restaurant side, 1.5 onto the city side, every X number of feet, and the dirt excavated and new soil put in there. As much as you can, get into 2 or 3 feet down or something like that.
but who's gonna provide these trees? Are they supposed to come out of what
Well,
we're getting?
I would like to see it come out of the city's budget, but if they want to do that,
I think so.
So that wouldn't come from ours?
Not from our budget, no. But I think as a Shade Tree Commission, and I believe we wanted to keep most of those trees that were taken
I
out.
would have liked to see the trees out, but when you had to change the elevation a little bit there, it would really have adversely affected those trees.
So I'm just saying that, I'm just the liaison, but I think the Shade Tree Commission should have some kind of leadership on this moving forward.
Want me to write should I write a letter to The city manager?
Sure, write a letter to the city manager and to the city engineer.
Okay.
Do we know what type of trees they were that were removed?
Yeah, we discussed that.
Do you remember
They
what
the
kind
ones
of
I
trees
looked
they
at
were?
along the
Yeah.
edge.
No, I don't think there were any. Were they pine trees?
There were some pine trees.
Were they
I don't
cypress?
think it
They
was all.
cedar?
Oh.
Okay, well, forget getting black pine
pretty
trees. I don't think you
scraggly.
can buy black pine trees at nurseries, can you?
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I don't know if I want to put black pine back in there again.
Well,
I think,
they wanted some kind of blossoming trees, you know, like
Yeah,
cherry
arbor-
blossom or something.
but then arborvitae or something like
Okay.
that, put in
That's-
there,
that
X
is
number of feet
evergreen.
apart in 3 foot by 3 foot boxes, not boxes, but holes in the ground.
Holes, yeah.
Would probably, in the fullness of time, get to the point where they'll,
Well, he's saying they want something that's flowering.
oh, who said that?
I did,
Well, arborvitae doesn't flower.
right.
Where I live on Columbia Avenue, my backyard faces Page Street. Right across the street from me is a little house, and these bushes, I don't know what they are. I keep looking, the owner is never there, he rents it out.
Right.
But I really would love to, you should all go and take a look. It's right there on Page, like 821. They're like, they're kind of like, almost like, they look like a Christmas tree. They're almost like kind of round, oval type, and I guess he keeps them trimmed, but right now, these beautiful, hot pink flowers.
Oh, they're camellia.
Is that what that is?
Yeah,
What are
that's
they, George?
camellia.
Well, you know,
Do they bush out? Would they?
Yeah,
make-
they'll
Oh,
get-
they're
they'll get to
beautiful.
be
You should
large
see them. They're big
eventually.
and round. Yeah. I guess if he keeps them trimmed.
I was just gonna say how much trimming is involved in
I
that.
don't
mean,
think- I
this would
never
be
see-
something, the shade tree is not, we don't have the equipment to trim it. This would have to be a city.
it would be a city's responsibility to maintain the park, of course. You know.
I never see him trim them.
Yeah.
I
But
mean, maybe somebody comes over, but
my concern is, I was told that they were talking about putting a fence along that area, and with the cars coming with each other, I can just see that fence getting run into and whatnot. I just think a
Yeah,
natural
but-
barrier would be
but-
best.
But a 3 foot by 3 foot hole cut into that thing, so half is on
Right,
the restaurant and the other half, Oyster Bay, and the other half is on the sidewalk. There'd be room enough that cars could come in there, but still not run over the trees.
right.
But we'd have to just measure the thing to see how many trees we could put in there to know
Right,
that
how long is the space?
The space is probably, I don't even know.
I mean, we should really know,
Well, that's why I'll have the engineer give us some kind of, idea of what we should, how to design it, but then we'll be the ones to determine what to
if
put
we
in it.
suggest the names of the trees and shrubs, then he would design.
Okay,
Is that what you're saying?
I guess I am, yeah.
Shane, are you talking about that whole line
The
there?
whole line, that's kind of the
Okay,
borderline
that's
between.
pretty long, that's a.
It is a
big
pretty
area.
long area, and the blacktop, it just takes away from what
Yeah.
it could be, or what it used to be even.
well, there was dirt just to the east of the railroad tracks, okay, and then a line of trees, and then some more dirt on the other side of where the parking lot for the Oyster Bay was. So the trees had a healthy, area to grow, and they were, I won't say thriving, but they were surviving in there for years and years and years.
Right.
And now it's just a big, open, desolate space, so I can see. All right, I'll make some suggestions in the letter, and to the city manager and Camilla. You say those are Camilla?
Camellia, yeah.
I
Camellia?
barely know that. I
Camellia.
would buy them myself.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, that's true too.
But if you have a 3 foot by 3 foot section with dirt in it, and mulch and stuff like this, and new soil
New soil.
in there, the trees should stand a pretty good chance of surviving, I would, despite the reflected heat from all that blacktop.
While we're discussing this, because we're talking about Welcome Center and with Oyster Bay, because now there's this talk about Elmira Street with the new, where the Depot Market.
Right.
And building this house. And now they're talking about changing things like that with the city parking lot right there. Is that like near, that's.
That's on the other side of the
Hey, isn't
building.
it? on the other side. That's what
Yeah,
I
it's the
thought.
same area.
What are they gonna, they're gonna take
They're
that
gonna-
building
They're
down?
removing that, they've got a permit, the people who bought that property are going to put office space, or not office space, rental type of space, like retail.
Okay.
On the first floor, and then they're going to put an apartment on the second floor.
Are you
They
talking
wanted
about
three-
on
They
Elmira?
wanted 3 stories, yeah, but they.
Elmira
I
Street?
think they brought
Yeah,
that
well,
down now.
they've got to get a permit to back, if they want to back out onto
Yeah, they went
the
back out on
parking,
Elmira
you know,
Street.
into the driveway further coming into the,
The latest thing I just read the other day was that they have approved, they've changed things around the project and everything, but they've approved the parking thing so that they won't, well, they're still gonna be working on the, coming out on Myra Street, but they've changed the parking for the side of the building now, I believe. Then they wanted it the front,
right.
so,
So there's going to be some parking underneath the building?
not underneath, on the side.
Oh, on this north side of the
The
building?
depot
Okay.
is staying, the
Sorry?
depot is staying.
No,
No, they're
it's
gonna-
going.
The city owns that whole property then? Or
No,
they will?
No.
somebody else.
They own the parking area,
Yeah, but
and the
not,
city owns the,
Well,
does the
they
city
ended up-
own,
they
does
ended
the
up
city
gathering-
own the,
It's, the majority of that area is,
what do you call it, the railroad building?
that's Department of Transportation, I believe, owns
They
that.
own it, city
The-
owns
The road, you know, the driveway, where the buses park, and the train tracks, that whole area. We really just maintain the train track area and the parking lot.
Okay.
We own those,
And the
or we own the parking
depot
lot.
actually gained some property back when they were redoing Elmira Street, so that they got a few more feet there or something like that, so,
It's called Prawn, isn't it?
Yes.
what is it?
The new name is Prawn?
But that's been closed,
Yeah.
because they just have
If you think that's going to resolve some parking problems, wait till they start developing that area around Yard Avenue,
Oh, gosh.
huh?
Oh, it said, oh, gosh, yeah.
I mean, my God, you know, it's ground that's not being used to its highest and best use, but good luck putting all those condos in that little area.
Yeah.
All right,
And then I just want to bring up that I showed the deputy manager the Widowmakers at the park. So the
Yes.
city's going to probably take care of those, and not the Fund for Cape May.
What are we talking?
I'm sorry, the Rotary Park. There's some Widowmakers on the top of the larger trees.
the ones, the trees closest to the gazebo.
Yeah.
There's tree on either side. So the city's going to take care of that?
I think so. I mean, it is a safety issue, so they want to take care of it.
But again, that would have to be in cooperation with that nonprofit group.
That's correct.
Curtis Bashaw, the group.
There has been discussion about that.
The what?
It's not formal, but there has been people, you know, ideas of taking back the responsibility of maintaining that park.
And then the shade tree would be responsible for it.
That's true. Yep.
And the lawn mowing and everything else would be done by the city, but the tree care would be shade tree. I think we'd be willing to take that back.
But that's not
That not, okay.
formal yet.
No, we're not gonna rush forward to that until, at least not till they take those dead wood down from those two sycamore trees. Yeah. Those are they're some of the largest sycamore trees we have in Cape May, those two, right there. All right, now,
That's all I have. Oh, and the other thing, we had our subcommittee meeting together about, we have really 3 things we were talking about.
this is
Approving
revising the
ordinance.
shade tree ordinance.
Right.
Approving the ordinance, what else? Attaching a notice to any type of sidewalk reconstruction application, which will kind of remind the owners of the 50/50 rule, and that they have to get 2 quotes, and then also give them information about proper tree care, such as not destroying the roots.
Yes.
Or possibly arcing away from the tree, certain,
Or
or over.
humping it up and over.
Humping over. There's a lot of other suggestions that we've come up with as a committee. Some things that are more significant than others. We want to have more control as a commission over applications to the zoning board and planning board. We want to give ourselves a 30-day notice, so that way we can give input and and
Yes.
possible conditions on these applications. So that way, when they're finalized, the Shade Tree Commission, because of their recommendations, it will be looked at by the zoning official to be sure that everything was done to plan. They do certain things like that, like when it comes to drainage and other things like that, the applications. We're talking about asking for diagrams of people's properties when they apply for tree removal, something that we can always keep on our own file. And that way, in the future, if a tree goes missing, we have some kind of idea what went missing in
Right,
the
right,
future.
right.
Other things, what else do we have? Putting hard barriers around trees during construction. I was supposed to type this up and get it to you folks, but I forgot. So what I'll do, I'll send you all the lists of recommendations that we've come up as a subcommittee. And if you have any recommendations, write them back to me. And our subcommittee will be meeting again. We haven't determined a date yet, but we're going to have, what's his name? I always want to,
Chris Schwartz.
not Chris, we're going to have the representative from West Cape Maze.
Oh, Wayne.
Shade Tree Committee, Wayne.
Wayne Hoffman.
Matt,
He'll help us discuss some of these things as well. If you wanted to participate in this subcommittee, it's open to anybody, but
if we get more, we don't want to have a quorum. We can't get more than 3.
but if we want to do more than 3 people, we can do that. We just have to make sure we
We advertise it.
advertise it
The meeting, yeah.
a day in ahead. So I'll get that information to you folks, and I'll send it to you individually, so that way it's not a conversation between all of us, because that would also violate the Open Public Meetings Act. So just send all your recommendations directly to me, and I'll take care of it, compile it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yes.
Was that good enough? Yes. All right, good.
Okay, does anybody else have anything for the good of the order? Okay, I'll entertain them.
Why don't Mark do it?
Oh,
Why don't you make the motion?
Sign off in an
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
All right.
last motion by Mark that we adjourn. Do I have a second by Sue? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Enjoyed working with everybody. Hope everything goes along.
You were a pleasure.
Thank you. And we can call you if we need some advice, right?
Know where I am.
All right, good.
He'll be down at the casino.
Okay, I need your folders back.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
They're probably opening up now. Of course, they were.
There you go.
You know what that means?
Yeah, people are down.
Tighten the machines up.
Barbara?
Yeah.
I know my son's going to
I'll text it.
Thanksgiving. For Ghana. Some kind of comedian's going to be there, I forget his name. But whatever, so I'll be down there.
Well, they had a section there of 4 slot machines. They used to call Fort Knox.